Here's a secret, pulling back that curtain. In terms of when you're talking to clients in your initial conversation, or even if it's not even about a transaction, you're just talking to them, get their permission. If you obtain permission, because you don't have the right to do boo with anyone unless you have their permission. So if you're talking to them, I'll give you a little sort of example. Ran into someone, talked about my business, because us entrepreneurs, we love talking about our business. I'll say something to the effect of, hey, Samantha, it was great chatting with you. I would love your permission to keep in touch with you. And guess what? Samantha will say, oh, yes, absolutely. You have my permission. Bingo. They've given you permission. Until they tell you to beat it, you're now allowed to follow up and keep in touch with them. Not only about trying to sell them on something, but you may just want to share information during that conversation you had. Back to the CRM, you're journaling, oh, Samantha really enjoyed traveling and she wanted to see these 3 countries. Guess what? When you're following up, you can say, hey, by the way, Samantha, you were talking about Bali. I've been to Bali and this is a hotel I stayed at and it was super amazing. Have a look at it. Boom. That continues then to establish trust. It shows that you actually genuinely care. Remember, the key to a lot of this, keep on referring this, is heart-centered. You have to want to help and serve people, genuinely. Like you can't just, I'm going to give them this travel tip because, because. It has to be because you had a good conversation, you connected, you felt like you connected with them, and then you're sharing different things outside of what you actually do. Because remember, someone will only buy from you. I shouldn't say only, but majority of the time will only buy from you if they like you and if they trust you. So, it doesn't matter if, you're propping up this thing that you're selling, whether it's vacuums, knives, mortgages, insurance, they have to connect with you. So that's, a really important piece not to forget when you're going through that. So once they give you that permission, bingo, bango, Bob's your uncle, you can actually continue to follow up until they tell you to beat it. Now, I'll give you an example of my own personal story. I follow up until, it doesn't seem at all possible, but I'm talking about, I don't want to exaggerate. I'll follow up, up to 20 times before I decide, okay, maybe this is not the one I'm going to spend the time with. But then what I do, and I've done this now with my executive associate, Melanie will follow up. So then that way it frees up my time, right? I can't continue to follow up, but then she'll follow up by email. And someone else other than you following up, a lot of the time will get them engaged. A lot of people think, I don't want to lose control of my client. I'm not going to get someone else to follow up. I got to tell you guys, perception matters. If you've made the attempt to follow up and someone else is supporting you, like an executive associate, clients will pay attention to that. It's human behavior. Mike was calling me, but now, Melanie's calling on Mike's behalf. Maybe I should get back. So let me tell you about a story. I had a client, had one of the best conversations I've had in a while with them. Felt, this is going to be a client that I think I had success with. We connected well. We talked about a lot of different things. And I followed up. So my follow-up process, I have an initial conversation with a client, depending on sort of what stage they're at, we'll follow up a week later, then a week after that, a week after that. So we continued that process. I was 9 follow-ups in, and this is probably about 4 or 5 years ago. So I was still doing a lot of my own before Melanie came on board in her role. And I was at number 9, and I thought to myself, man, I thought I had this client and things were well. Follow-up number 10, here we go. Let's see what happens. Call. He picked up. I was, well, hey, there he is. How are you? I've been able to get a hold of you. How have you been keeping? And the first thing that he says, hey, Mike, thanks so much for continuing to follow up. I've been swamped with work. I've been meaning to call you. Every time you call, I go, oh, yeah, I got to call Mike back. And we had a really good conversation, laughed it off. And lo and behold, not only did I help him with a purchase, we refinanced his home to make that purchase. And then he in turn referred 2 of his friends. So out of that 10 follow-up process, I was able to help and serve him with 2 transactions. And I was able to help and serve his 2 friends, who in turn, guess what they did? They referred clients. And that's the way the system works to build a referral-based business. So this idea, when I hear someone say, Mike, I followed up 2 times or even 3 times. I don't know. I don't buy that. Maybe you hesitate because, don't forget, you have to get permission. Because I can understand if I met you and I'm talking to you and you never got permission or never even made the comment about, hey, I'm going to keep in touch with you. What's your business card or any of that? Or maybe you took my contact and then you're just, trying to get a hold of me to sell me something. I'm very likely not going to like that, not going to feel comfortable with it. So I might say no, or I may not call back ever. So that's why getting permission from the very beginning is key to the follow-up process.